The moving truck disappeared around the corner, leaving Chen standing alone in front of the Victorian house that was supposed to be her fresh start. The morning fog clung to the hills of Portland like a gray blanket, and she pulled her cardigan tighter around her shoulders. 6 months ago, she'd been Dr. Chen, successful pediatrician in San Francisco, engaged to David, living the life everyone expected her to live. Now she was just Maya, recently single, recently unemployed, and completely lost. The house creaked as she unlocked the front door. Her grandmother's voice echoed in her memory. Sometimes you have to plant yourself in new soil to grow into who you're meant to be. If only she had listened to Grandma Lily more before she fell ill. Maya spent the morning unpacking boxes, trying not to think about how David had looked when she'd finally admitted she couldn't marry him. But it wasn't just about the lack of spark, it was about everything else. The way he dismissed her dream of working with underserved communities as career suicide. How he'd accepted a lucrative position at an exclusive practice on her behalf, without even consulting her. "I already told them you'd start next month," he'd announced over dinner. "The salary is incredible." David didn't want a partner. He wanted an accessory to his ambitious life. The hurt in his eyes when she broke it off haunted her, but not as much as the relief she'd felt when she'd said the words, "I can't do this. We're not right for each other." She had loved David, but she couldn't live his version of her life anymore. A knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. Maya opened it to find a man about her age with tousled brown hair, dirt-stained jeans, and the most striking green eyes she'd ever seen. "Hi, I'm Sam Morrison. I live next door." He gestured toward the cottage barely visible through the overgrown hedge. "I brought you some tomatoes from my garden." He held out a basket of cherry tomatoes, their red skin bright against the gray morning. "That's very kind. I'm Maya." She accepted the basket, their fingers brushing briefly. Sam's hands were calloused strong. "Are you a gardener?" Sam laughed, a sound that was warm and genuine. "Landscape designer, actually. Though I spend more time with plants than people these days." He paused, tilting his head. "You're not from around here." "San Francisco. Just moved up yesterday." "Big change. What brought you to Portland?" Maya hesitated. The real answer was too complicated. The breakdown of her engagement, the realization that her entire life had been built on settling for comfortable rather than passionate, the desperate need to figure out what she actually wanted. "New job," she lied smoothly. Sam's eyes, God, those eyes, seemed to see right through her, but he just nodded. "Well, welcome to the neighborhood. If you need anything, I'm usually in my garden. It's the jungle next door." After Sam left, Maya found herself standing at the kitchen window, watching her neighbor disappear through a gap in the hedge. There was something about the way Sam moved, confident, grounded, like he belonged exactly where he was. Maya envied that certainty. The coffee shop on Alberta Street buzzed with Saturday morning energy. Maya sat in the corner with her laptop, pretending to job search while actually watching the barista with the purple hair make elaborate latte art. She'd been in Portland for 2 weeks and had barely left the house except for grocery runs. The money from selling her practice would last a while, but she couldn't hide forever. "Mind if I sit? Everywhere else is full." Maya looked up to find Sam holding a steaming mug, wearing a soft flannel shirt that brought out the green in his eyes. "Of course." Maya closed her laptop, suddenly self-conscious about her own appearance. Yoga pants and an oversized sweater, hair in a top knot that had probably been neat hours ago. Sam settled into the chair across from her. "How's the job search going?" Maya's cheeks warmed. "It's a process." "What field are you in?" Another lie would be easy, but something about Sam's open expression made Maya hesitate. "Medicine. Pediatrics, actually. But I'm taking a break." "Burnout. Something like that." Maya wrapped her hands around her mug. "What about you? Besides making gardens beautiful, I mean." "I teach workshops sometimes. Community garden stuff, sustainable landscaping." Sam smiled. There's something magical about helping people connect with the earth, watching them discover they can grow things. "Do you have a family? Kids?" The question slipped out before Maya could stop it. Sam's expression shifted, just slightly. "No kids." No. Significant others either. Plants are easier to take care of than people. Maya caught something in his tone, a guardedness that matched her own. They talked for an hour about everything and nothing. Sam was funny, sharp, passionate about his work. When he described his latest project, a community garden in a food desert, his whole face lit up. Maya found herself leaning forward, drawn in by Sam's enthusiasm, by the way his hands moved when he talked, by the laugh lines around his eyes. When Sam finally glanced at his watch and made regretful noises about weekend errands, Maya felt a pang of disappointment. "Same time next week?" Sam asked, standing. Maya nodded, probably too eagerly. "I'd like that." After Sam left, Maya sat staring at her reflection in the coffee shop window. When was the last time she'd felt this energized talking to someone? When had she ever found herself studying the curve of a man's smile, wondering what it would feel like to trace the line of his jaw with her fingertips? The thought made her cheeks warm. With David, attraction had been comfortable, expected. This felt different. Electric, unexpected. But later, lying in bed, she let herself remember the way Sam's eyes had crinkled when he laughed. The Saturday coffee became a routine. Then Sam started texting during the week, photos of particularly impressive vegetables, funny observations about his clients, articles about urban gardening he thought Maya might enjoy. Maya, who had never been much of a texter, found herself checking her phone constantly. One Thursday evening, Sam knocked on her door, holding 2 bottles of wine. "Rough day?" Maya asked, noting the dirt under his nails, the weariness in his shoulders. "Client from hell. Wanted me to remove all the native plants because they looked too wild." Sam held up the wine. "I figured we could both use this." They ended up on Maya's back porch, legs curled under them on the old porch swing, sharing stories and wine as the sun set behind the Douglas firs. "Can I ask you something?" Sam said after his second glass had loosened his tongue. Maya tensed. "Sure." "What are you really running from?" The question hit like a physical blow. Maya stared into her wine glass, watching the liquid catch the last rays of sunlight. "I was engaged," she said finally, "to a good man. A doctor like me. Everyone said we were perfect together. But he wanted to control my life." The words came out in a rush. "David made decisions for me, about my career, our future, everything. He dismissed my dreams, said my desire to work with underserved communities was just a phase. When he accepted a job for me without even asking, I realized he didn't see me as a partner. He saw me as an accessory to his ambitions." Sam was quiet for a long moment. "What made you finally leave?" "I realized I was disappearing, becoming someone I didn't recognize just to fit into his vision of our life." Maya laughed bitterly. "I broke off the engagement, sold my practice, and bought a house in a city where I don't know anyone. Sounds pretty brave to me." Maya looked at him in surprise. "Brave? It takes courage to choose yourself over what's expected. Most people just settle." There was something in Sam's voice, a weight that suggested personal experience. "What about you?" Maya asked softly. "Ever been close to settling?" Sam was quiet so long Maya thought he wouldn't answer. "I was married once," Sam finally said. "College sweethearts. Sarah was everything I thought I wanted, beautiful, smart, ambitious. But we grew apart, wanted different things." Maya's heart clenched. "I'm sorry. It was for the best. She's remarried now, has 2 kids. She's happy." Sam looked at Maya directly. "I learned that you can love someone and still be wrong for each other." The air between them shifted, charged with something Maya had been trying not to acknowledge. "Sam," she whispered. "I know you're figuring things out," Sam said quickly. "I don't want to complicate that. But I need you to know the way I feel about you." Maya leaned forward before she could lose her nerve and kissed him. It was soft, tentative, a question more than a statement. Sam tasted like wine and possibility, and when he kissed back, gentle but sure, Maya felt something inside her chest ignite. This was what she'd been missing with David. This electric connection, this feeling like her nerve endings were on fire. When they broke apart, Maya's heart was racing. That's what I was looking for, she whispered. The lightning? Sam's voice was rough. The lightning, she confirmed, then kissed him again. Maya's phone rang at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday night in October. The caller ID made her heart stop. San Francisco General Hospital. Miss Chen? This is Dr. Martinez from SFGH. I'm calling about your grandmother, Lily Chen. She was brought in an hour ago after a fall. I'm afraid. I'm sorry, but she didn't make it. The phone slipped from Maya's hands, clattering to the floor. Grandma Lily. The woman who had raised Maya after her parents died, who had taught her about strength and resilience and planting yourself where you could grow.
Gone.
Maya threw on clothes and stumbled outside, not sure where she was going. She found herself in her backyard, surrounded by overgrown weeds and tangled vines. The neglected garden seemed to mirror the chaos in her chest. The tears came then, raw, ugly sobs that shook her entire body. She sank to her knees in the dirt, overwhelmed by grief and guilt. She should have visited more. Should have called last week. Should have been there. Maya? She looked up through her tears to see Sam standing at the edge of her yard, wearing pajama pants and a concerned expression. I heard you crying, he said softly. What's wrong? My grandmother, Maya choked out. She's gone. Sam didn't offer empty platitudes or try to fix anything. He simply walked over and sat down in the dirt beside her, not caring about the mud or the hour or the awkwardness of the situation. They sat in silence as Maya cried, Sam's steady presence the only thing keeping her anchored. When her sobs finally quieted, she realized dawn was breaking over the Portland hills. Without a word, Sam began pulling weeds from the flower bed beside them. Not talking, not asking permission, just creating small pockets of order in the chaos. After a few minutes, Maya joined him, her hands working alongside his in the damp earth. They worked together as the sun rose, tending the broken garden, saying nothing and everything at once. Thank you, Maya whispered when they finally stood, both covered in dirt and exhaustion. Sam looked at her with such tenderness that Maya's breath caught. You don't have to thank me for staying. 3 weeks after the night in the garden, Sam finally stayed the night. Maya had been nervous all day, changing clothes twice, cleaning the house obsessively. But when Sam arrived with takeout Thai food and that easy smile, the anxiety melted away. They ate on the living room floor, talking and laughing like always. But there was an undercurrent now, an awareness that thrummed between them. When Sam reached over to brush a stray hair from Maya's face, the simple touch sent heat spiraling through her. Maya, Sam said softly. Yes. Are you sure about this? Instead of answering, Maya leaned forward and kissed him, pouring all her certainty into the contact. Sam responded immediately, his hands coming up to frame her face. This was what she'd been missing, this connection, this feeling of two souls recognizing each other. Afterward, they lay entwined in Maya's bed, watching shadows dance on the ceiling. How do you feel? Sam asked, his voice rough with emotion. Maya considered the question seriously. How did she feel? Overwhelmed. Complete. Like she'd finally found what she'd been searching for without even knowing she was looking. Like I'm home, she said finally. Sam's smile was radiant. Good. Because I'm falling in love with you. The words should have terrified Maya. 6 months ago, they would have sent her running. But lying there in Sam's arms, she felt only peace. I love you too, she whispered, and meant it completely. Fall arrived early that year, painting the Portland hills in shades of gold and crimson. Maya had been living in the Victorian house for 4 months, and it finally felt like home. She'd started volunteering at a free clinic downtown, slowly dipping her toes back into medicine. It felt different this time, more purposeful, less about meeting expectations, and more about serving people who truly needed her. Sam spent most nights at Maya's place now, his clothes mixed in with Maya's in the closet, his coffee mug claiming permanent residence in the kitchen cabinet. They were planning their first Thanksgiving together when Maya's phone rang.
Maya?
It's David. Maya's stomach dropped. She stepped onto the back porch, away from Sam who was reading in the living room. David.
Hi.
How are you? I'm confused, honestly. His familiar voice was strained. I ran into Chen at the hospital yesterday. She said you'd moved to Portland and weren't practicing anymore. Maya, what the hell happened? Maya closed her eyes. Sarah was her cousin, a surgeon at UCSF. Of course word would get back eventually. I needed a change, David. I tried to explain. You said you couldn't marry me. You never said you were having some kind of breakdown. I'm not having a breakdown. Maya's voice sharpened. I'm finally living the life I want. By throwing away your career? Your life? Maya, this isn't you. How do you know who I am? The words came out harsher than she intended. We were together for 3 years, David, and you never once asked what I actually wanted. You just assumed I'd be happy fitting into your plan. Silence stretched between them. I miss you, David said finally. I miss us. Come home, Maya. We can work through whatever this is. Through the window, Maya could see Sam curled on the couch, reading glasses perched on his nose. As if sensing her gaze, Sam looked up and smiled. That radiant, uncomplicated smile that made Maya's chest tight with love. I am home, David, Maya said softly. For the first time in my life, I'm home. After she hung up, Sam found her on the porch. Everything okay? Maya turned and pulled Sam into her arms, breathing in the familiar scent of his cologne and the faint smell of earth that always clung to his skin. Perfect, Maya said. Everything's perfect. The community garden was buzzing with activity on this sunny Saturday morning. Children ran between the raised beds while their parents harvested vegetables, and volunteers led workshops on composting and companion planting. Maya wiped sweat from her forehead and surveyed their work. What had been an empty lot a year ago was now a thriving oasis of green in the heart of the city. Dr. Chen, Marcus scraped his knee on the fence post, called one of the volunteer coordinators. Maya grabbed her first aid kit. She'd become the unofficial medical officer for the garden and went to tend to the 8-year-old's minor injury. Good as new, she announced after cleaning and bandaging the scrape. Marcus beamed and ran back to help his mother with the tomato harvest. You're a natural with kids, Sam said, appearing at Maya's elbow with 2 cups of lemonade. I've had practice. Maya accepted the drink gratefully. 20 years of pediatrics, remember? I mean here. This. Sam gestured around the garden. You belong here. Maya looked around at the families working together, the elderly man teaching a group of teenagers about soil composition, the mother nursing her baby while her toddler played in the dirt nearby. A year ago, she'd been Dr. Chen in a sterile office, seeing patients for exactly 15 minutes each. Now she was Maya, garden volunteer and part-time clinic doctor, with soil under her nails and joy in her heart. We belong here, she corrected, taking Sam's hand. They'd been talking about making it official, not marriage necessarily, but some kind of commitment ceremony. Sam's chosen family had embraced Maya completely, welcoming her into their tight-knit circle of friends. I have something for you, Sam said suddenly, looking nervous. She pulled a small wrapped package from her pocket. Maya opened it to find a tiny jade plant in a hand-thrown ceramic pot. For your windowsill, Sam explained. My grandmother always said jade plants bring prosperity and good fortune. But mostly, they're survivors. They bloom where they're planted, even in the toughest conditions. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. Like us. Like us, Sam agreed, then kissed her softly, not caring who might see. Around them, the garden hummed with life, vegetables stretching toward the sun, children laughing, couples working side by side to tend their small patch of earth. Maya had finally learned her grandmother's lesson. Sometimes you have to plant yourself in new soil to grow into who you're meant to be. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, you find someone to grow alongside. The jade plant sat on their kitchen windowsill that evening, catching the last rays of Portland sunlight. Maya and Sam worked together preparing dinner, moving around each other with the easy rhythm of partners who knew each other's steps. Outside, rain began to fall, the gentle, persistent rain that made everything in Oregon grow so green and wild and beautiful. Maya smiled, watching the water trace patterns on the glass. She was exactly where she belonged.